When can the police legally put you in a chokehold? So let's talk about this a little bit. Police and chokeholds. I will say back in the day when I was trained as a police officer, they used to train this as a tactic that you could use when you're getting somebody in control. Today, chokeholds are often banned in many police departments across the country, and they're designated as deadly force in every jurisdiction in the country. If you're allowed to use a chokehold at all, you're allowed to use it in deadly force situations only. You should never use a chokehold unless you can use deadly force. So what does that mean? That means you've got somebody that's put your life in jeopardy or the life of somebody else in jeopardy, and you're doing it to prevent the loss of life or serious bodily injury. That's almost never the case. And everybody knows the famous reason for these chokeholds being outlawed was possibly the George Floyd thing back in 2020. Well, that wasn't technically a chokehold, but it was a use of force that, in my opinion, was improper. Chokeholds are deadly force. When you put somebody in a chokehold, you're limiting the amount of blood that goes from their heart to their brain, and it can lead to death, so it's rightfully a deadly force technique. The difference between a control hold and a chokehold is the level of force that you use against the neck. A control hold, you can get control of somebody behind their body where you've got your arms wrapped around their head or around their neck, and you try to control their head or control their upper torso. But you should never use the V-style forearm and bicep across their neck to limit the blood flow from their body to their brain. Well, the George Floyd incident wasn't really a chokehold. It was an officer that put his knee on the neck of a detainee while the detainee was on the ground and in cuffs. It was not a necessary use of force, in my opinion. You know, I go back and think about the day that I saw that video. In my opinion, it was a complete of power and force, and it was completely unnecessary. When I was a police officer, they taught this as something that you would routinely use, and we did use it a lot in physical arrests where you're fighting an individual, trying to get them under control and trying to get them in handcuffs, and it was used more in the past than it is today, obviously. Well, if you're fighting an individual and you're using your hands and your arms and your body in an effort to try to gain control of this person, you have other tools that you can reach for now. You have the taser. You can have a taser that can be close up and personal, or you can use the taser from a distance. We've talked about tasers before on this channel. The taser is a great tool to prevent the use of open, hard hand control. If the person's not fighting back and you've got a police officer using a chokehold, that's an of force, absolutely. You only need to use a chokehold if your life is in danger or the life of somebody else is in danger.